Hey everybody, welcome back to another SUPboarder video. In this video, we're not going to be doing SUPs, we're going to be doing more foiling equipment. We're going to be looking at the Indiana Paddle and Surf Co.'s foiling range of gear. Going to help you understand if this gear is right for you and definitely highlight some of the pros and maybe some of the cons to this equipment. So a little bit of background about Indiana. Indiana started back in 2010. They're a Swiss-based company. The main board designers are Gunnar Biniasch and Andy Widman. They don't just do foils, they also have a large range of inflatable paddle boards. They've got surfboards, they've got paddles, they've got accessories as well. So they are very much a big brand. And a lot of you have got Indiana equipment already and you've already given us good feedback. And they're definitely a brand that's trying to focus on good rider experience as well as the good overall package, but at very competitive prices. So first off, let's dive into the foils and how they're put together, because I have a dismantled foil on this board here. If we go and grab the fuselage first, this is probably one of the most integral parts to any foil. Solid aluminium fuselage. It's nicely shaped towards the tail of the fuselage. The main body is a square aluminium block. It feels very good quality and obviously very, very stiff. But the real magic and the real interesting stuff is around the head of the fuselage, where the front foil fits into the fuselage. You'll see there's some deep grooves here which give you a very secure connection into the main foil. Slides in really easily and locks in place. Just that there, without any bolts in it at all, is a very, very secure system. 2 Torx bolts in the bottom, very easy to put together. One of the reasons why I'm taking this all apart and showing this in sections opposed to some other foil reviews when I've just done it as a whole is because there's really interesting little intricate bits that they've put on this that lots of other brands, in fact I don't think any other brand has. One of them is the anode. An anode is a piece of metal that's placed on an object that attracts or is easier to corrode than the rest of the metal. So a lot of boats have anodes underneath. So if anything is going to have electrolysis or eaten away, it's going to eat the anode away quicker than the rest of the boat. I've never seen this on a foil range of gear before, but they have one here and they also have one in the top of the base plate as well. Unfortunately, I didn't put this and leave this foil in the water for over 24 hours and see if it worked. But in theory, if you've got salt all around your foil and you're leaving it rigged up the whole time, which we have done for 4 weeks now, it should affect this more than your bolts and your screws and your screw threads and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not 100% sure if it works, but I really like the fact that they put it on there just in case. Shows again the quality and they're really trying to do something a little bit different. So this part, the red section, slides straight into the mast. Then you put your 2 big Torx bolts in the bottom. Jumping back to the fuselage, there's a really big important point that I really like, which is around the stabilizer and where you can set the stabilizer to different positions to change the riding feel on the water. Now, some other brands have got this, there's no doubt, but the amount of adjustment they've given you on all of these fuselages as standard is really good. So you've got 3 places you can put it. You can put it right at the front, you can put it in the middle, you can put it further back. The further forward you go, the more reactive, the faster, the quicker the pump will be, the quicker the turns will be, but the harder it will be to use. In the middle, you're going to have the best of both worlds, and moving it further back, it's going to give you more of a drawn out pump if you're pumping. Your turns are going to be slightly more drawn out. A great place to put your stabilizer if you're learning to jibe and you want a stable feel as you go through the jibe. Not only that, they've given you these sort of aluminium shims that you can place in here to adjust the angle of the rear stabilizer. As standard, they give you a 1 degree and 2 degree. They start you off at a 2 degree, is going to be a little bit easier going, and you can actually buy a 0 degree on their website as well. So I can already see that Indiana are really trying to help you get into the sport easily, but giving you the ability to progress, maybe without even buying different foils. And that is a basic but really good system. With the mast, you can get 2 constructions. You can get a full aluminium, which is probably what most of you are going to go for, or you can get a full carbon, which is obviously going to be stiffer and a lot lighter. With the aluminium mast sizes, they do 105 centimeter, a 90 centimeter, a 75 centimeter, and a 50 centimeter. And with the carbon mast, you can get an 85 and a 72. The base plate which goes on top, as you can see, it's all aluminium again, but it's been cut out to make it a little bit lighter, and it's also got slide-in sections here so you can easily access your bolts when you're putting it on the board. Again, more bolts in the top and bottom, and as I said, it's got an anode in here as well. So let's clear these components away and let's start talking about the foils. Now, when you look at the Indiana range, I will admit there's a lot of foils to choose from, but the best way to break it down, the XAR range is the real high aspect ratio, much higher performing foils. They do a 1300, a 1050 and a 900. If you are a better level rider, you're wanting to pump harder, you're wanting to go faster, and you're definitely after a more technical foil, the XAR range is the range you're going to be looking at. For most of you out there, including myself, I'm really loving the HAR. They're a much more toned down version compared to the XAR range. They're going to give you that combination of good speed, good early glide, good flow, and the ability to still learn new maneuvers. But they have got more foils than the XAR and the HAR. 1150 DWR, the 1100P, the 850S, the 820P and the 620K. Now this is where maybe it gets a little bit confusing to understand what the hell are all these letters for. It's actually really simple. If it's got a K, it's more of a kite wing. If it's got an S, it's more of a surf wing, so you know it's going to be more turny. And if it's got a P, it's more of a pump wing, so it's there for pumping to give you the ultimate glide. And the DWR is the downwind wing. It's much better at connecting bumps, keeping you flowing if you're into prone downwinding, paddle downwinding, or even using your wing to go out and ride some endless glides and link up bump to bump. The DWR is the better foil for you. I think the 1100P will be a very popular front wing for a lot of you. Yes, it's got that pumping background, but you could be using it for winging. We had a really good wing session on this in lighter winds. It's amazing how slow you can almost slow the board down to. Maybe you're going for your jibes and the wind's dropped off, but the foil keeps you up and flying. It keeps you moving through the water, and that's definitely to do with the good depth and the profile of the foil, which is why it would make such a good pumping wing as well. We haven't actually got into pumping ourselves so much because we're too busy surfing and winging, which is great, and personally I don't think my leg muscles can quite take it at the moment, but definitely Indiana have got a big pump foiling crew going on in Switzerland. There's a lot of R&D that they're doing. So definitely, I think if you're into pump foiling, they're a brand that you should be looking at, and you should look at maybe try and demo some of their gear because they have got a lot of people working on pump foils for them. One of the standout front foils will be this 920 HAR. This is the one we use winging the most. It's fast, it's stable, it's lively, it's a little bit technical to use, but it's not super technical like some other foils at the same aspect ratio. But even if you do jump on the foil and it's a little bit technical for you and you're not quite at that level yet, because Indiana have given this fuselage with 3 different stabilized settings, you can put it right at the back, put yourself a number 2 degree shim on the back, and then it's going to be much easier to ride. And then as you get into it, maybe you want to get into pumping or turning faster, you can move it further forward and reduce that shim degree. The prices are actually pretty good on these as well. An average foil that a lot of you are going to be looking at in a package like the 920 HAR retails at €1,369 as a complete package, which is a very affordable price point given the engineering and the whole package that comes with these foils. Now we could go into more detail and talk about the thickness of the profile, the wingspan, the aspect ratio of the foils. There's loads of stuff we could geek out when it comes to foiling, but the video would probably be about 3 hours long. There is actually some really good information on the Indiana website. It's a little bit trickier to find, but there's a really good table of how the foils feel on the water, the XAR range compared to the HAR range. Have a look at that for a bit more information. And also they've got some really good information guides that come as standard with the foil packages. They're also available online. Gives you a really good idea of what foil front wing works well with what stabilizer, and even what sort of shim you should be using as well. So there is some great information on the Indiana website to get you into foiling. Even if you're not going to buy Indiana, it's probably worth looking at their stuff to give you an idea how other stuff might work as well. There's a few different shapes and sizes of stabilizer as well. You've got the big 55 right down to the smallest 336, I think it is. The thinner you go, the faster it is, but the harder it's going to be to keep that flow, especially if you're learning to foil jibe. So sticking a nice big stabilizer on the back is going to make your foil more stable, hence why they're called a stabilizer. But there's a good range of stabilizers, and all the foils, front foils and back foils, are all full carbon and nice and lightweight. And the last thing about the foils is the padded bags that come around the foils. Whether they're disassembled or assembled, they give you a great range of padded bags, ones that go right over the mast and even right over the mast plate as well. A very simple range that really shines out and shows Indiana have a bit more quality compared to other brands on the market. Right, so now let's move on to the boards that you could be buying as a foiler, because Indiana have a lot of boards. They have got the wing foil boards, they've got the prone foil boards, they've got the windsurf foil boards, they've got inflatable foil boards, and they've even got boards that cross over and do a bit of everything. So there's a huge range of boards. All the boards are slightly different. They may look very similar on the website. They do really change in design, even this 118 compared to this 108. The easy way to understand it is they have a wave all-round range of boards and a flat water all-round range of boards. The wave all-round range, they're all much more rounded up towards the nose. They've got flatter bottoms overall on the boards, but they have got bigger beveled rails down the sides of the boards. Because of that more rounded nose, you're going to be able to throw that board around a little bit more, and definitely it's going to be better if you're moving into a surf environment. With the flat water all-round range of boards, they're much squarer up at the nose. It's going to offer you a lot more stability because of that square nose. Those boards are fitted with a double concave underneath, which is going to help you ride over any bumps or choppy water when you're going up and down on the foil. And they've got less beveled rails at the board as well. And they also make some smaller, more compact freestyle boards, which are designed to be thrown around, so less nose and overall width. Other features on the boards, they've all got large deck pads. All of the boards are fitted off with foot straps, even the inflatables. You've got a central back strap and you've got their Y front strap here. But I really do like this system because it's neat, it's light, it stays in position, and I think the foot straps themselves are actually really comfortable to use. Most of the boards have got an inbuilt pressure valve, and most of them have an optional front handle which you can put on as well. Looking at the bottom, big recessed carry handle on all the boards, and you've got large US foil boxes underneath the board as well. These foil boxes in general are further back than a lot of other brands. A point worth mentioning is if you are riding your Indiana board with other brands of foils, most of the time you're definitely going to need your foil further forward on the box compared to when you're riding it with your Indiana foil. So if you are going to be buying an Indiana board and going to be maybe using it with other foils, in an ideal world, try and use one with your current foil setup first. But with the Indiana stuff, it's engineered to work with this foil box in this position. And the back of the boards, especially with the wing boards range from the Indiana, are completely flat at the tail. Now the reason they're completely flat at the tail is they're going to try and give you the most board speed for the length. So when you're especially using it with your wing, you're planing along, having a flatter tail at the back with a sharper release is going to give you less drag, and it's going to make whatever length board you've got work as efficiently as possible. The other way is having a cut off at the tail, which is going to be more beneficial in the surf because you can lean back and pop your foil up. But when it comes to winging and getting up with the board speed, it's going to be a lot slower. Most wing foil boards are actually going down this sort of design now, and to be fair to Indiana, they started doing this a few years ago, so they're very much ahead of the curve when it comes to the flat tail edge. Also, this sort of system definitely works better with the more high aspect ratio foils, the longer, thinner foils, because when you go to pump and get up on the foil, you're going to be less extreme with the pumping action of your front and back foot. You're going to be more relying on the board speed. You will notice there's a few boards in the Indiana range with the sort of beveled tail, and they're definitely pushing a little bit more to the SUP and a little bit more to the surf than the wing boards. As you can see with the brushed carbon, all these boards are carbon sandwiches. They've sanded down the green, so you see the carbon coming through. It's a funky pattern, but it also reduces weight. This started years ago in windsurf boards when they used to sand off most of the paint because it would reduce about 2 kilos with windsurf boards back in the day. Obviously, smaller boards, you're not going to get that much weight reduction, but you are still going to save weight, which is why brushed carbon is still a thing. These boards are all very competitive weights, sitting about 7.5 kilos for 118. An average retail price for the wing boards is €1,539. So again, very competitive price for the weight, construction and the design that's gone with these boards. And for the wing board sizes, they've got boards from 55 litres all the way up to 150 litres. So you can guarantee there's going to be a board to suit all body weights in that range. The other boards that they have in the range are definitely worth looking at. If you're into supping, they have got a better supping range. These boards are a little bit longer, volumes 158 litres to 85 litres. Average retail price is €1,539. Similar bottom shape, but you will notice the foil track is slightly further forward, which is going to help you use different types of foils as well. They say there is a bit more bevel at the tail there to help for your pumping and easier takeoffs. And the other thing you'll notice is the foot strap setup is you can't fit the V handle on the SUP board, so you've only got foot straps that can go down the centre line, which I think is a better move obviously when you're SUP surf foiling. Massive range of inflatable foil boards, 165 litres to 47 litres. Average price of those around €1,099. They're woven, double layer, they've got fiberglass in the foil box, and you can install V foot straps for those, and they do have a tail edge. But one board that really caught our eye is the all-in-one foil board. Now, there's a couple of different sizes here. Average price is around €1,839. You could use these boards for absolutely everything. You could use them for SUP surfing, you could use them for SUP surf foiling, you could use them for wind surfing, windsurf foiling, you could use them for winging without the foil because they've got the option of putting a center fin in, and you could use them for winging with the foil. We've done reviews of those sort of boards before, but none of them have a central fin which would allow you to go winging off the foil, which I think could be a great option. And just like the foils, most of the boards I believe come with really good bags. These boards came supplied in their bags, which does make a difference when you're putting your hard-earned money into a product and the last thing you want to do is ding it when you're taking it to and from the beach. So now let's move on to any cons or negatives you should be aware of about the Indiana gear. Now, to be fair, this gear is really well engineered and very well made. There's a few very small things that do annoy me. One, the length of the track bolts that attach your foil to your board just could do with being 3mm longer. They're just a little bit too short, and to slide them over the base plate and get them done up without the nut coming off the bottom is a little bit hit and miss. If it was just 3mm longer, it would make such a difference and be a lot easier to use. A small fix, you could always buy yourself some separate bolts, and I'm sure Indiana could increase that length overall in the future. Another one, keeping on the bolts, is some of the Torx bolts have got a security system in the top of them. So you need a security Torx head. That comes as standard with the package, which is fine. But if you're like me, I've got a bigger screwdriver, I've got loads of Torx set, or I've gone to the beach and I forgot my Indiana bit and I've got to borrow one off my friend and he hasn't got one, it's just a bit of a nightmare. So I personally will replace those for normal bolts. I just like to have a standard Torx bolt, not a security Torx bolt. I'm not sure exactly what the wording is for those, but they're the ones where they've got a groove in the middle and then the Torx has a groove in that head as well. The Y foot straps are great and really comfortable, but if I'm going SUP surfing, I don't really like using Y foot straps. It would be nice if there was an extra plug in the front of this board just in case I wanted to switch it to a single front foot strap. I understand these are wing foil boards, but a lot of you are going to be getting into wing foiling and maybe you want to be using them SUP surf foiling as well, so it would be a little option that would allow you to have a board that's a bit more universal. One I touched on already, some of your foils won't work as well on the Indiana board, so ideally try your foil on an Indiana board before you buy one if you want to be using a different foil board setup. And the last one is a small one. It's around packaging. When you get your board new, you'll take your board out of your bag and you'll realize there's bubble wrap inside the bag. Now, I understand they might need bubble wrap to keep the boards nice and packed, but unfortunately it's a nightmare to recycle. It's nice to drop the bubble wrap completely, especially because you're already using a really nice bag. But in summary, Indiana is a brand you do need to take note of and keep an eye on, whether you're already into foiling or you're going to be getting into foiling. Wing, kite, prone, surf, they have the full range of foils covered. All of the actual finish of the gear is very good quality, it's very well made, and the engineering on the foils is really good. You can tell by just looking at the boards and the foils the first time you see them, Indiana really are focusing on designing a good quality product that's engineered well to give you the best riding experience on the water. If you've got any feedback about Indiana, if you've got Indiana stuff, please get your comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what gear you've got, maybe what setup you're riding. And also if you're using an Indiana board with a different foil, please get your comments below and let us know what's working, what isn't, for others to understand what's best for them. Definitely a brand that's worth looking at, and I hope this video has helped you understand if the Indiana range could be right for you.